Okay, now comes the important part, right? You must be hearing that these people will, like you can say, there are a lot of YouTube videos where people talk about HTTP methods, basic stuff, right? So now comes what is as that and how it is actual API testing starts over here. Caching. What is caching? Storing the API response temporarily so that the repeated requests are served faster without hitting the DB, right? So whenever there are multiple requests, like for a home page, right, you are fetching the content for for you can say Mumbai location or Hyderabad location, Bangalore location. So the content might differ, right? So the frequently fetch content will be stored over there into the cache, and the first hit, right, whenever a new request is created, it will go to the DB and it will fetch and it will be kept into the cache. So yeah, so multiple ways like CDN, API gateway, Redis cache. So Redis cache, maybe I can go in detail into the below as document. It is an application level. It is stored at application level. It is a nothing but a key value pair. It has time to live. Each key has a time to live, and we should set the logic. And the DB results are cached over here. Varnish cache. Varnish cache, many of people might not know it. It's like you can say network and edge level. Full HTTP response. It gives us CDN like speed. And if you want to protect your backend from load, so there was like a Magento was there, and it was taking, you can, if you go to Magento documentation and read it, so the setup upgrade takes most of the time over there. So that was one of the thing. And if there are multiple requests which are going on, so it should be served by vanished cache and full HTTP response should be given back, right? So to protect that backend from load, we use varnish cache. How is Redis traditional use? As you can say, client is there. Simply look into the cache. Cache it, simply return the data. If not there, cache look is mislook is persistent in the data store. It will go to over there and check that. So this is a Redis thing over here. How, what to test in caching, right? A cache hit versus a cache miss. When the record is not present in the cache, it will go to the DB and it will get fetch, right? So generally it is slower. The subsequent request after that should be served from the cache. If I go to this page like Watcho, yeah, I can go to the network tab and I can go to homes. If I remove this, yeah, home series. If I go to movies, as you can see, movies, this is dynamic events which are triggered. Collect snitch. Yeah, if I go to this and check request header, content type, cache it, hit from the CloudForm. So that record is present over here. So it's nothing but hit from the CloudForm over here. So this is cache hit versus cache miss. You can see. Okay, what is cache invalidation? Cache invalidation ensures cache data is updated or removed after the data changes. Most production bugs happen when cache is not validated after post or delete. Before any CI run or automation should do a cache invalidation, basically to clear the data which is present over here into the cache. Why cache and DB issues hide from the automation test? Because our automation tests run inside an isolated environment and low traffic environment, and many of the things happen at scale. The cache and the DB issues occur at scale and concurrency. So for that, they are not caught at the automation test level. What is 429? As I said, right, I'll explain it. How to simulate it. By sending requests exceeding the allow rate and validating the API returns 429 consistently with proper headers and response body. So that should be read like retry after X remaining X limit reset. You will get that. Sorry for my typo again. Backend automation test. What is the first thing we check before running an automation backend automation test? So first thing, right, whenever we run an automation test, we need to make sure whether the service is up or running or not. For that, we'll do a health check. If the health check is giving me 5xx, then the service is not running, then it doesn't make sense to run the automation test. So first we need to check whether the service is deployed or not. What is protobuf? So you might be heard of data types like you can say JSON, XML. Now protobuf. It is a binary data format. gRPC uses protobuf to send the data, and it is used in Swiggy. As far as I remember, Swiggy uses this protobuf over here. What is GraphQL? GraphQL is nothing but it is a query language for APIs. If the client wants specific type of data, multiple tables, and the server responds with that data only using GraphQL. Here we have schema, types, queries, resolver, mutations are the main components of GraphQL. So with APIs, REST APIs, there are GraphQL endpoints as well. Now if I quickly go to my GraphQL playground over here, and this is the documentation. This is the famous documentation of Rick and Morty, the favorite episode of mine right over here. So if I go to docs and if I check the character schema, so this is the schema and it is 826 characters are sorted by ID. So these are the sorted, and this is the endpoint which is there. So you can get the endpoint. Now I'll go to the GraphQL endpoint. I put the endpoint over here and GraphQL. Now if I hit the query, now all the data related to character results are fetched over here. And if I go to the documentation again, if I character schema, and if I want something like an get all characters, I want gender for them. So I'll go to this, I type gender, and if I hit it, and as you can see, gender is being populated over here. So this is nothing but a GraphQL endpoint. You can test it out. What is the difference between queries and mutations? Queries, think like it is a get equivalent. As you can see, this API GraphQL endpoint, I am just using a query because I don't have access to update it. So characters, results, ID. So we are just getting the request. It acts like the get equivalent, and mutations like create, update, delete equivalent for REST APIs. What happens if the request of a non-existing field in the GraphQL request? So if I go over here, if I type tester, if I do, as you can see, cannot query field tester. So we will get an error over here. So GraphQL validation failed. So this is like errors object array which we get. What happens if the client exists? This is an important topic. Senior interviewers will love this, right? If you go for an interview with any, you can say streaming company, or any, you can say product based companies, PhonePe, Google, Amazon, right? These are the most of the important questions you need to know. So CDN, like content delivery network, as the name suggests, right? When the application servers are hosted in one location, like your application servers are hosted in Hyderabad, and the users are accessing from another location like Mumbai. I am accessing it from Mumbai. So my latency of network latency will increase, right? A CDN helps solve this problem by caching static assets such as images, CSS and JavaScript files will be stored at an edge server. So the server near to me is called as an edge server, located closer to the user. So it will be located somewhere in Mumbai over here. As a result, user will fetch the content from the nearby server instead of the origin server, which is nothing but Hyderabad, which reduces the latency and improves page load time. As you can see over here, if I go to Watcho and if I go to Flix, or like you can say Live TV, and if I go to assets, this is a JPEG, right? So JPEG is an asset. It is said hit from the CloudFront. It's stored in the we got a hit over here, and this server is something Microsoft server is there. So as you can see, these are like you can say which are served from the CloudFront. So that means that are there in CDN. So Akamai is one of the great CDN we used over here. So yeah, that's a brief about top 25 or 26 questions for the API testing. If you need any you can say topic to cover on the backend testing, or if I think of I will come up with some topics on API testing, maybe some automation testing questions as well on that. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching, guys.